All right, so yeah, welcome again to the Q&A about the CIE Teach in Spain program. We're going to go through kind of the program basics and the details about the program and other things you should know before you decide to go teach in Spain. Also have some more information about like TEFL and some other fun things you can get involved in. So yeah, so my name is, sorry. My name is Em. I'm the Teach in Spain advisor. I taught abroad in Moscow and Shanghai for a combination of 3 years. I'm also studied abroad in Budapest. I was a study abroad advisor at some universities throughout the US for like 5 years. And I just joined the CIEE team. Lauren is our Teach Abroad manager. She is not here today, but she will also be heavily involved with the program, so you hear a lot from her. And with me today are Gabby and Rachel. They're CIE Madrid alumni as well. So if you want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Gabby. I'm the Teach Abroad Program Assistant. I taught abroad in Madrid through CIEE a few years ago. And then prior to that, I also taught abroad in Thailand with CIEE. So big fan and really excited to talk about Madrid.
Excellent. Yeah, my name is Rachel Dietz. I'm a CIE TEFL advisor. I've been with the company for about 3 years now. And I'm a CIE TEFL alum. I taught abroad in Madrid a little more than a couple of years ago at this point. But very excited to be here with you guys today to talk about teaching abroad and getting TEFL certified.
All right. So before we kind of start, we just want to know for the people that have joined today, if you've ever been to Spain. So I'm going to pop a poll in a few seconds, and you can just like take some time to answer really quick. All right. Yeah, about like 2/3 of you haven't been to Spain yet, which is exciting. It's a beautiful country. And about a third of you have been to Spain, so I'm sure y'all are excited to get there or get back. All right. And we also would like to know why you're choosing to go to Spain, either for the first time or for the second, third, fourth, fifth time, who knows. So if you don't mind answering that poll, I'll pop it in. Cool. So it's pretty even. If you want to gain teaching experience, travel around Europe, just to do something different, these are all great reasons. But yeah, it is nice to be able to like go get work experience and career experience, but also travel around Europe at the same time. That's kind of the unique thing about teaching English abroad is you get to teach and travel at the same, work and travel. Works, it's nice. And the last one is just, what is a TEFL certificate? So what does TEFL stand for? Fun little poll at the end here. Yep, it is teaching English as a foreign language. So it's a little different than just speaking English when you have to teach English, and the grammar and the vocabulary, it can catch you off guard sometimes. I remember I felt like I learned a lot about the English language before I started teaching abroad, just through my TEFL course. There were like things I was like, oh, I say that grammatically incorrect or something. It was fun to correct my own grammar. All right. So Gabby, if you want to go through the requirements.
Yeah, so first and foremost, the eligibility requirements to participate in the Teach in Madrid program. You must have a native level English fluency, a bachelor's degree in any field. It does not have to be education. You must be a US citizen and under the age of 60. and that date will fall under January 1st of the upcoming academic year that you plan to participate in. Your passport must have at least 3 empty pages and be valid for 3 months after the program end date. Just to be sure those are kind of the regulations of being able to teach in Spain, is you must have the passport that's not going to expire. And then you must not have served as a language and cultural assistant in the previous year prior to wanting to participate again. All right, perfect. So then, and kind of what the program entails. So any participant going through CIEE will have that guaranteed placement in the region of Madrid. You'll be teaching 16 hours per week. So that's 16 hours in the classroom. You might be, at school a little bit more than 16 hours a week. Depending on your school schedule, you might have a 2-hour siesta in the middle of your day, which it leaves you to go get lunch, do whatever you need to do for 2 hours. So ultimately, 16 hours you'll be teaching throughout that week. You'll always have 4-day work weeks, aka you're going to have a 3-day weekend. Every single weekend, do whatever you want, tutor on the side, travel to nearby cities, nearby countries, and then each month you're going to get 1,000 euros of a stipend, regardless of vacation days. Regardless of holidays, you'll always be getting those 1,000 euros a month. All right, and just to reiterate, so the inclusions within participating in the CIEE program, that guaranteed job placement in the region of Madrid. We're going to have pre-departure assistance with online courses and visa guidance. We pretty much hold your hand through the entire process to give you a step-by-step and exactly what paperwork you need to be bringing to your consulate during your appointment. You're going to have international emergency insurance and the local Spanish health insurance as well. There'll be a 4-night hotel stay. So that will have orientation. We'll go over some logistics like banking and housing and talk about more insurance things, along with having some cultural activities. You might go to a flamenco show, might go to a cooking class, things like that. And then you're also going to have guaranteed people that you'll be meeting. You'll meet hundreds of people during your orientation week. You'll meet hundreds of people during your time in Spain who have also come through CIEE. You'll be thrown into a Facebook group where you'll meet people prior to departure. That's where a lot of people will find roommates, flatmates. And then you'll always have ongoing support from the CIEE staff in Spain. We do have 24-hour support of our team on the ground in Madrid. All right, and then what does the job look like? So as a language and cultural assistant, you're going to be in a bilingual primary or secondary or vocational school. And this is a preference that you're able to put on your application. If this is something really important and you have a specific age group that you'd like to teach, then definitely put that preference on there. So you'll be assisting in the classroom within a variety of subjects. So essentially, you're there to support the lead teacher. There's not going to be a lot of times where you're ever leading the classroom alone. You're more of an assistant, maybe leading the classroom in some activities, maybe bringing up some things from your culture, some holidays from back home, just to show those students essentially a different culture, and so that they can hear kind of your way of speaking and your accent and things like that. All right, and then there are a few program options. So we have the Teach in Spain regular program. Like I mentioned, you'll have that 4-day orientation hotel stay, and then depending on which orientation date you'd like to participate in, following that, it will be in September, and then school will start in October. So if you would like to do a 2-week immersion program, you'll be going a little bit earlier in August. Same thing with the 4-week immersion program. I'm going to touch on this next on kind of what the immersion program entails. And then also you can add your TEFL certificate course to any of the program because teacher training isn't part of orientation. So whenever you first land in Madrid and we go over things like banking and just honestly how to live in Madrid and some tips and tricks that we have, we are not teaching you how to teach there. So if maybe you're uncomfortable with leading a classroom or you're apprehensive about teaching English, then definitely look into getting TEFL certified prior to going to Madrid.
Thank you, Gabby. All right, so like Gabby said, one of the program options is for a Spanish immersion. So you can choose to go for either 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And you get to Spain early, usually in mid-August. and you have more time to settle down, find housing, set up your life abroad. So you'll go early and you'll stay with the host family, and they can help you with like the finding housing, and they can help you kind of get your life in order and like show you the ropes. You can really just immerse yourself in the Spanish culture and live like a local those first few weeks and kind of get the experience and the hang of things. So with the immersion, you'll live with a Spanish host family. You'll be asked about like any preferences about the type of host family you like to live with, but they've been vetted. You'll live with a host family that wants to host Americans that are teaching in Spain. As part of the Spanish immersion, you'll also learn Spanish. So you'll take 3 to 4 hours of Spanish classes Monday through Friday for 2 or 4 weeks. You'll be tested on your level of Spanish before you arrive, so you're in the appropriate class level. Some people have never taken Spanish before, and some people have taken like many years of Spanish. So you'll be put in the appropriate class level, but you'll be taking daily Spanish classes. You'll also get most meals provided by your host family. It's typically like breakfast and dinner, and you're responsible for lunch, but most meals will be provided during this time. And you'll have access to like their kitchen and stuff to make your own food. Um, and you'll also just like have an ability to learn some Spanish before you go. Spanish isn't mandatory for the program, but we really highly recommend learning some basic Spanish before you go or right when you arrive. It will help with just like communicating with your landlords when you're trying to find housing. It'll just like help you make friends in Spain, like Spanish friends. It's just respectful of the Spanish culture too, to like learn their language so you're not speaking English all the time. So the immersion's a great way to like learn Spanish or really improve your Spanish. Um, and then you get to spend part of the summer in Spain. It's kind of hot as a warning, but it's fun to like, you'll be there a little earlier, and you'll have some time to travel around Europe once the immersion's done and before school begins. So you have a little extra time to like settle in and get ready for the school year. And if you scan that QR code, it takes you to more information about the immersion program. But if you do have any questions, you can just email us at teachinspain@ciee.org. We'd love to talk to you about the immersion program. Ooh. All right. And like Gabby said before, we guarantee placement in the region of Madrid. So the region of Madrid includes the city center and then the surrounding neighborhoods and area. So you can kind of see this giant like triangular area is the region of Madrid. So that's where a lot of our like school placements are. And that's kind of like where the placement region is. So I'm gonna put in the slide our community guide. I'm gonna put in the chat the community guide for the region of Madrid. And this is just a good resource for you to have as it covers like teachers' stories of how they found housing, like where they live and where they teach and what their commute's like. So most placements are outside of the city center, but people still choose to live inside the city center and then they commute like 60 to 90 minutes to school every day. But you could also live closer to your school. Housing is ultimately your choice and your responsibility to find. So you can kind of find a place to live based on your school placement. All schools are accessible via public transportation. So there's like going to be a metro ride or a bus or a train to get you to where you need to go. We do our best to place you where you'd like, but placements are given out in the order of commitment deposits received, and depending on the need and availability and placements we have available. So we do try our best to honor any preferences like age or transit location, but ultimately it's based on what we have to offer. So just be aware of that. There's a host school preference task also in your application where you can put any preference request. But also keep in mind with placements, just to be open-minded and flexible, because you might not get like an exact placement that you would like or a region you'd like, but you're still going to be placed in the region of Madrid and be close to the city center. So it's kind of that, a guarantee. Sorry, go back to the PowerPoint. There we go. All right, and we also help like coach you and guide you through the housing search. Like I said, ultimately, it's your responsibility to find your apartment and like sign the lease. We can't really go in person and do that search for you. But we do give you resources and advice and like the best practices on how to find an apartment. Most teachers do find a roommate through CIEE's Facebook group, which you'll be added to once you're accepted, or at orientation. You do have an in-person orientation when you first arrive for 4 days. Like Gabby said, you'll meet hundreds of teachers there. So it's an opportunity to find roommates there. But many people also just find a room with Spanish citizens. A lot of people will offer like a spare room that they have to rent. And we highly recommend that, as it's a good way to kind of like immerse yourself even more, but it's also readily available. So I'm gonna also pop in the chat a housing guide of like how we help you find housing. So just another resource for you all to look at. Cool. And yeah, so on average, teachers spend anywhere from 500 to 600 euros a month on rent in your shared apartment. Living alone will cost you a lot more, maybe even your entire like monthly stipend. So it is best to find a shared room or find roommates. Also, it depends, like budgeting depends on like where in the city or region you're going to live. So obviously, if you're living close to the city center, prices are going to be a lot higher. If you live closer to maybe the suburb your school's in, it'll be a little lower. So you kind of have the freedom to find the best housing for yourself. And on average, it does take people about 2 to 3 weeks after arrival to find housing. That's one of the perks of the immersion, is that you have that time kind of built in to find housing before. But if you're doing the regular program, that's cool too. We do recommend you like find a hostel or an Airbnb after the CIEE orientation to help with the housing search. And ultimately, housing is always one of the more stressful things, I think, anywhere really, finding a place to live. But ultimately, like the participants are successful at finding a house, a place to live. No one lives on the street, don't worry. Sorry. All right, and then another thing we do help you with is getting like visa guidance. We offer comprehensive visa guidance. Sorry. So you will obtain a language assistance visa in order to live in Spain. You can see that on the right. The visa process requires you to be flexible in your summer plans. You won't be able to travel internationally after you have your visa appointment, as you'll be without your passport, because you have to give the visa center your passport so they can put the visa inside. So you'll be without your passport for 4 to 6 weeks typically. And that usually happens like after late May, June, is when you'll probably start applying for the visa. So just if you have like international travel, just kind of like consider that you might not have your passport if you're applying for a visa. But we do host a few visa webinars. This year we hosted them in February and March. And we also give you a comprehensive visa guide, and it's just like a like step by step, like what documents you need, how you get the document, when you need to get the document. So we really make sure you're like, sorry, keep coughing. I have like a sore throat right now. But we just walk you through the entire process to make sure you're on track and you're getting all the documents you need, and you know when you need to go drop off your visa application. So that also involves an in-person visit to the consulate. I always let people know that. And ultimately, you're financially responsible for the visa cost.
Perfect.
Rachel, take it away.
Yeah, so your options for TEFL. So as we discussed at the beginning of the webinar, TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. I always like to mention it's not required for teaching in Spain, but if you have little to no experience teaching, it's highly recommended to at least, the very least, consider getting TEFL certified, if not enrolling in one of in a TEFL course, if not one of our TEFL courses that we offer. So the first recommendation that we have is our 150-hour TEFL certificate. This is really perfect for anyone looking to become internationally certified to teach English abroad. This is for folks that are thinking like, I maybe want to stay in Spain for longer than just 1 year, or maybe I want to go teach in a different country after I teach abroad, because there will be some countries that require a TEFL certificate. So that makes you a little bit more versatile in that regard. Maybe you're thinking that you want to continue your teaching career back at home in the United States. Really great things to think about when it comes to selecting the 150-hour course. Right there in the bold lettering, you are eligible for a $400 discount right now when you apply, when you are applying to CIEE Teach Abroad for the 150-hour course specifically. This offer is about to expire. So the $400 off the 150-hour course is only valid for the March 31st course. And the deadline to apply for that is March 24th, so Monday. If you have any questions about this, I will put this in the chat to get in touch with me. It's just tefl@ciee.org, and I can help you get enrolled if you're wanting to take advantage of that $400 discount. So what's included? Like I said before, 150-hour total training hours. The course itself is 11 weeks long. You do get immersed with a cohort of peers. We cap our classes at 16 students, so you get that small course feel. You do have a dedicated course instructor. You get assigned a TEFL instructor at the beginning of your course, and they give you personalized feedback throughout the entirety of the course. There is a mandatory 20-hour practicum so that you can practice what you're learning in the course and get some hands-on experience before you go out to Spain. And then it does meet international qualifications. So it's internationally recognized, valid for life. You can use it anywhere around the world, and you never have to renew this certificate. The second option is our 60-hour TEFL certificate. So if you're thinking like, maybe I'm just going to be teaching in Spain for this 1 year, but I really want to step into the classroom with some confidence and some strategies to help my students learn English, or, I want to be building that trust with my co-teachers as a language assistant. The 60-hour course is a great option as well. It really covers the highlights of the 150-hour course, so not going in too far in depth, but it's definitely going to give you some resources to help you get off on the right foot. 60 total training hours, completely open enrollment. You can start at any time. You could start tomorrow if you wanted to, if you submitted your application today. It is 100% self-paced. We give you up to 6 months to complete it. You can, of course, complete it in a lot shorter than that. But you do have some time to work on that if you have a busy schedule. And you still get support from a TEFL instructor. They're still giving you some feedback on the assignments that you submit for it. So it's a good way to see, how you're doing and check your progress throughout the course. So those are kind of your two options there. Em, if you want to hit to the next slide. I created a little quiz for anyone who is kind of debating like, 60-hour, 150-hour, do I even need to get TEFL certified? These are like the 5 main questions that you want to be asking yourself to determine whether or not a TEFL certificate is going to be important for you. So again, things like if you have prior teaching experience, do you have experience teaching English as a foreign language to folks who do not speak English as their first language? Are you looking to expand your professional qualifications? This is a great thing to put on your resume in addition to having lived abroad for a year for when you come back to the United States. Do you already have a TEFL certificate? Are you interested in private tutoring? Maybe you could be charging more money for private tutoring sessions with students outside of your teaching hours if you are qualified. So all good things to think about. Again, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to sit down or to chat with any one of you about, what's going to be right for you and whether or not you should get TEFL certified. So please send me an email. Maybe I'll drop my call link in there too, if anyone wants to schedule a call for some TEFL counseling outside of this. But that's my 2 cents about TEFL.
Thank you, Rachel. So yeah. So what happens when you get to Spain? I'm gonna drop in the chat a link to an Instagram story about orientation. So you can see like what orientation looks like. So when you first arrive, you will have your orientation and hotel stay. And you'll learn about like how to set up banking, and you'll work on your residency permit. Um, get you'll get more information about like phones, and you'll meet people, you'll have some cultural activities, stuff like that. You'll start apartment hunting with your new besties or Spanish friends. Maybe you'll do the Spanish immersion if you signed up for that. You'll get to travel, get to know the city, get to settle in, just kind of like take it all in when you first arrive. It can be a lot. We recommend practicing your commute a few times so you get the hang of it before you start teaching. And like I said, you'll set up your banking, work on your residency, get a Spanish background check. And then your teaching duties will begin on October 1st. You will not, you get your first paycheck on November 1st. So just be aware, like budgeting wise, we recommend having some in savings. And you can find that in your application as well. And then what's next? You should complete your CIE application. Our deadline was extended until April 1st. So if you want to go in fall 2025, we are still accepting applications for fall 2025. You should get TEFL certified, start budgeting and saving, start budgeting for Spain, start learning some Spanish, even on an app like Duolingo. It helps to learn some basics. Once you're accepted, you'll make friends in the Facebook group, and we'll be talking to you a lot throughout the way. We have a lot of webinars that we do, weekly communication with everyone, just to make sure you don't have any questions and you're staying on track with everything. And yeah, you can check out a timeline in the PDF I will put in the chat. And then I think we will take some questions.
I'm also putting in the budgeting guide really quick since you mentioned that, Em.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I always recommend just knowing finances too. Sorry. Okay. And yeah, so like I said, we're still reviewing applications for fall 2025. So if you are still interested in fall, our application deadline is coming up on April 1st. The QR codes are for our Instagram and TikTok, so you can follow and see what current teachers are doing. Those are good resources to kind of get a feel of things. And yeah, if you have any questions right now, type them in the Q&A and we will start answering questions. If something pops up after this, or you can think of what you wanted to ask, you can email us at teachinspain@ciee.org or tefl@ciee.org.
I just put in our Instagram and TikTok links in the chat too.
Perfect. And then there's a question, can I get my fingerprints done outside of my consulate zone?
So that's for the visa. Yeah, you can get your fingerprints done outside your consulate zone. So
perfect. And then,
oh,
can you go back to the last slide? Okay, great.
Yeah, we can.
Now the next question is, when will we know for sure if we have a job with CIEE if we have already put in an application?
All right, so you'll know if you've been accepted. If you've submitted your application, once we have everything to review, which usually the hang up is a letter of recommendation. So once we have everything, we get back to you within 2 weeks. And yeah, once you hear back from us and are accepted in the program, we do guarantee a job, like teaching placement in the region of Madrid. That's part of the program.
Excellent.
All right, any more questions?
No more questions as of now. I'll ask Gabby a question really quick. Gabby, what would be, I'm putting you on the spot.
On the spot.
What's your biggest piece of advice for folks that are still maybe working on their applications, are thinking about teaching in Spain? Like, what's your biggest piece of advice at this stage of the process?
I think honestly, it would be to just go for it because I know I debated for so long. Should I do it? Should I not? And I was actually in this situation that maybe some other people are in right now where I worked on my or on my application and then ended up not going for it. And then the deadline was pushed back. And I thought, okay, it's a sign I should go for it. So maybe for those folks who've been debating on it, and the deadline was pushed back, like this could be your sign that you should be going. Honestly, it was, um, I mean, obviously it changed my life for the better. Here I am working for the company because I am totally obsessed with the goal of foreign exchange and getting people to experience other experiences. So whether that's in Thailand, Spain, China, South Korea, anywhere you want to go, definitely all for it. So if you're still debating on it, get that application in because you're going to meet a whole bunch of people and experience a whole bunch of things that you never would have if you didn't take that leap. That's my advice.
When from an admin standpoint, what would be your piece of advice for folks as they're getting their application together and thinking about going to Spain?
I would say the same thing as Gabby, just like, yeah, go for it. But yeah, I guess like I'm more of like a practical person. So like when I did my teach abroad, I had like I researched everything and put everything in line. So yeah, definitely review the resources we put in the chat, and make sure like it's a good fit for you as well. And it kind of fits in your life. But yeah, if the answer to that is yes, you should definitely go for it because yeah, it's just a unique kind of opportunity that teaches you a lot about life in general, and yeah, it gives you some good like career, like transferable career skills, and yeah, you never know what you're
Absolutely.
gonna get with teaching.
Yes, it's a mixed
Yeah,
bag for sure. That's great.
yeah, you'll come back
So
with lots of
Rachel,
fun stories.
Rachel, as someone who is currently in Spain, what would be your advice or what would be something that you think participants should be looking forward to is moving there?
Um, I mean, I think one of my favorite parts of the program was just how many people I got to meet. I think it's such a unique opportunity as an adult to be put in a situation where you're with so many people that are in the same kind of life spot as you. Maybe some have more life experience than you or not. But you all are starting out, embarking on a new adventure at the same time. The position is going to be the same. And so I feel like that bonding experience is so unique as an adult. I mean, we all have that, experience going to college for the first time and being college freshmen and having that bonding experience with other peers, but teaching abroad is yet another opportunity to build long lasting relationships with people and just get to have fun in life and do something different.
1000%.
Someone is asking, would this recording be emailed even if we attend? Yes, you will get the recording.
Yeah, I have it on my list to send it out tomorrow morning, so you all get an email
Perfect.
with the recording and the link. It'll also be public on our YouTube channel, which also has some fun videos to watch. So just gonna plug that. And yeah, are there any more last minute questions? If not, we'll kind of like wrap things up.
I think one last piece of advice, if I can just put in my last 2 cents here, is do not hesitate to reach out with questions. Don't sit on your questions. If you have questions about your personal situation or about our program or anything, it's always best to communicate. We are big on communication here at CIEE. So just let us know. Don't hesitate. Don't feel embarrassed about anything. Just let us know so that we can help you get to where you're going, get you to teaching in Spain.
Yeah, we understand there's always a lot of questions that pop up before, so we want to make sure you feel good about your decision and going abroad. So yeah, if you have any of those questions, you can email them to teachinspain@cie.org or tefl@cie.org, or you can set up a phone call with any of us. I think Rachel dropped her call link
Yep,
in there.
my call link is in there
Um,
too.
um, yeah, we're available if you need us. So,
Yeah.
one more
Yep.
last question. Sorry, popped in the chat here. So does everyone start off as a teaching assistant? Yes, everyone will start off as a culture and language assistant. That's the position. So, all right. So everyone have a good rest of your day. And yeah, hope you get your applications in and
Yes.
go to Spain. All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.